we are launching a new CMSS leadership and governance training program for CEOs and their elected leadership. The idea is that many of our specialty societies have been participating in these leadership programs, for example, through ASAE and other programs. And I think what we've heard from many of you is that your elected leadership finds some of the examples in this very open training program to be not as relevant. So as interesting as it is to sit with the teachers and the architects, the examples they often use around leadership and governance aren't quite what you experience at a specialty society. So we were encouraged to try to find a partner to see who we could do this with. We had a wonderful task force of CEOs chaired by Cliff Huddis from ASCO, who really helped us develop this program. And we just went through a process of selecting our final partner, which is the Association Management Center, and the principal is Mark Engle, who some of you may know, who leads ASAE's Exceptional Boards program. He will now help us develop this program. We actually invited Mark to join us and tell you a little bit about their thinking of where they are. He was already engaged for this meeting, and so we did a short, I guess we gabbed more than we intended, but Mark and I had just about a 10-minute chat about the program and what it's all about. So Julie's just gonna play the video, and when this is over, we'll reward you with drinks, so please.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Helen Burstin, the CEO of the Council of Medical Specialty Societies, and I am delighted to be joined today by Mark Engle from the Association Management Center, who also leads Exceptional Boards, who will be leading the new CMSS Leadership and Governance training program that we will be instituting this year. We're especially excited because unlike some other of these leadership and governance programs that Mark and others have been deeply involved in, this one is really being designed for specialty societies. Many of the issues we know are fairly cross-cutting, but we also recognize there are specific issues that are unique to the physician community. In particular, we recognize, in addition to the issues that are unique, the time available is also quite unique, I think, for the physician community. So our ability to create something with AMC that allows us to build more of a virtual program for the first 6 months to get out some of the core knowledge on virtual webinars will allow us to get that information out there in a way that I think will be more convenient for many of our physician leaders across our specialty societies. But we're also expecting, and we're excited to hear from Mark, there'll be many ways to also include lots of opportunities to have it be high level, engaging, and interactive, even online. And I think we've learned a lot over the last couple of years of the pandemic, Mark, about how to do that well. And we're really excited to hear about that. And then we'll be able to, with Mark's help and with the task force that we've pulled together across our specialty societies, help infuse this training program with specific examples from specialty societies around governance. Some of the unique issues, for example, around conflict of interest that may be really prominent for some of our specialty societies that we can really engage in. We're also exciting that it also helps build this cohort across CMSS of all the physician leaders across the specialty societies to really have an opportunity to come together at the convocation following the virtual sessions to dive deeper and talk about some of the key issues that we can better discuss across specialty societies. And like the theme of our annual meeting next week, which is Stronger Together, we recognize the real value of, I think, learning together here, acting together, and really having that opportunity for a wide open dialogue. So with that, Mark, I'm really excited to have you join us today. And it would really just, you've had so much experience over the years as part of your ASAE program on exceptional leaders. From your experience of working across so many organizations, what do you see as some of the unique issues around governance and leadership for specialty societies?
Yeah, well, thank you, Helen. It's a pleasure to be with you. We really enjoy this space because we have the opportunity to sit in a lot of boardrooms. And I've attended over 400 board meetings in my career. I know.
I'm sorry.
And I haven't been at one since last night. And it was within a medical specialty area. And each board is unique. And the culture of each of your organizations is very special with your history and with your structure. So, we look at strategy, structure, and culture in those dynamics. And what I'm excited about the CMSS program is you're bringing people together who are in similar space, but have unique elements around how they are constructed and how they do their work. So this is a great opportunity to learn with each other and from each other in a dynamic that really covers around what does governance and leadership look like in a medical specialty society today. So learning together is really an excellent construct of how you have conceived this program. So I applaud you. I think it's going to be exciting that your leaders will be able to rub elbows and throughout the tenure of leadership, which is really kind of a unique element that you're infusing here. So learning with and from each other and having those relationships across time is going to be critical to the success of the program. Well done.
Yeah. Thank you. And thank you for being our partner in this. We recognized early that I think we've got the specialty societies, but we don't have the expertise. So we were thrilled to be able to work with your group, but infuse it with the knowledge we can bring from the specialty society community about what's the most important that they want to make sure their emerging leaders know about.
Yeah. Well, and you also introduced another concept that, we do cut across so many different organizations, and we don't always look to the medical societies for the best of governance practices, and so we do want to be mindful of bringing in some of these other leading practices we see out in the community that may inform structure or strategy for your organization. So that is another benefit, I think, of how you've conceived this program. So, but what do you look to specialty for this program for CMSS? What do you think is going to make it unique?
I think what's going to make it unique, really is, much of what you've mentioned, Mark, which is the ability to bring all of our CEOs and their elected leaders together. I think creating a safe space to have dialogues about leadership, governance, and also what are the emerging issues of the day, I think is powerful. We've, for example, over the last couple of years been supporting a program on equity across our organizations. And actually a couple of our CEOs have specifically noted the importance of having that safe space to have a conversation about issues across organizations. And I think a lot of some of the conversations about governance and conflict of interest might also need some of that safe space to have that conversation. And I think we'll engender that. And I'm particularly excited about the opportunity to create that cohort of those elected leaders where they have a sense of community and trust across the organizations.
And that is one of the critical areas in your space, particularly, is the fiduciaries and that ability to have those conversations. We are seeing that as a continuing emphasis within the medical societies of how do those fiduciaries apply. We get a training on what they might be, but how do they apply? And I think that's going to be a critical element of what we're going to do together.
Absolutely. And as a reforming academic physician myself, I will say that those of us who rise to leadership sometimes come because of our academic credentials, not necessarily because of our expertise in being a good steward or the fiduciary roles that we're taking on to really help run an organization with their CEOs. So we're excited to infuse that. I'd also love to get a sense from you about what's your thought about building out this virtual program, and how is that different than some of the work you've done of really, this is going to be virtual plus in person at the end at the convocation at our meeting next November?
We do two types of work. One is the education, and you mentioned exceptional boards, but that is a finite relationship. It's there for a space and time, which is generally like 2 days. And what you've got the ability here is to cascade that and develop those relationships to learn from each other. The other aspect that I think is really important in your space is the research that we bring into the space, research around high-performing boards with over 320 organizations, and research on board composition, leadership composition, and what does that look like with Texas A&M. So we are very research-based in how we approach good governance and what does that mean to your societies. So that'll, I think, add to the excitement and the value of the program.
I agree. We've also seen this year, for example, that all of our education leads across the societies have been engaging in a research project themselves of looking at how have learner preferences changed, for example, pre and post, well, we hope post-pandemic, and what does that look like? So I think there's also an opportunity, I think, even to conduct some of that research in the context of our society. So I think that would be really welcome and very a good opportunity. So as you look ahead to our first cohort in 2023, what are you excited about? What do you think people can really gain out of joining this first inaugural cohort?
Well, what we see is the energy of being together, and it's not necessarily physically, although that is very helpful, of course, but realizing that there are other people who are in the same position that I am, as a board chair or chair-elect and so on. And the importance of that relationship, for instance, between the CEO and the board chair, how does that work? and how do we emphasize who leads and who supports in what areas? And COVID really tested us in making agile decisions, right? And being able to, I hate to use the word pivot, but I guess I'll use the word pivot, in timeliness. What's it do within our governance structure? And does it change the culture of decision making? Those types
and the other thing, of course, is what not even just COVID, but what we've seen in terms of the political environment, the struggle on our boards, and we're going to have a session about that at our annual meeting of how do you come to consensus across a disparate group of clinicians who may not always agree on the big issues, particularly some of the social issues of the day.
So I think it gets to the best value in this program is realizing as a chair or chair-elect, I'm not alone. Somebody else is going through this, and I can learn with and share with each other. And I think that's a wonderful dynamic that you created in this program. Well done.
We are incredibly excited. So with that, let me just give people just a couple of dates. We're really excited. We're going to open registration for our inaugural cohort in January. We're going to launch the virtual programming in April across the virtual cohort. And then we're going to bring all of the CEOs and the elected leaders who participate in the inaugural cohort to a day right before our annual meeting next November in Washington, D.C. So we are thrilled to be developing this collaboratively with you, Mark, and I think we'll also have the unique aspect of really co-production with our specialty society leaders, who I think have a pretty good sense of what they need in comparison to what they might have gotten from other programs. So what's unique about specialty societies that we want to make sure gets infused into this program. So just thank you to you and AMC. We're super excited about this partnership, and it just provides so many opportunities, I think, for our community, and I think the broader medical community as well. So thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you, Helen. We're looking forward to it.
Great.